there are kids that sensory comes from the hair. The only time I've ever had to say no to a haircut was because the little boy did not like the comb going through his head or the hair falling off, and I can't stop either of those things from happening. So at that point, if unfortunately the only solution is a buzz cut, because it's like you got to take care of it. You don't want it matting up. You don't want it causing her pain.
And there it just could break.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not unfortunately, but sometimes that's all the option is, and that's okay.
Talk a little bit about picking a salon. I should talk for the video.
Perfect.
So when you're looking to bring your kid to a salon, you want to be particular, right? You don't want to just show up anywhere. It's a good idea to call in advance. Try to talk to someone there, see how comfortable everyone there is with children alone, let alone children with special needs. And you'll get a vibe right away on the phone, more than likely, of how people feel. You should ask to come in ahead of time. Bring your kid in ahead of time, even without a haircut. Just come in, see the space, see how comfortable everyone is, see how comfortable your child is. A space that is not super busy sometimes is better. And like, it's like our space, Van's chair, especially, we were talking about this earlier, she has 2 windows. So her chair faces 2 windows. So that's like, that's kind of a perk because kids like looking at windows, right? So then, like, if you feel like you have a good vibe somewhere, like I said, you bring them in early, meet the stylist, have a rapport, and have zero expectation of anything happening that day is a really good way to start, especially like you said, your daughter gets violent. Sometimes, like, bringing them into the space, there's no expectation of anyone getting in their personal space. There's no expectation of anyone else touching them, because that is a big deal for a lot of kids, that this is now a complete stranger touching them. Yeah, not just being in their personal space, but like, that's a big deal. So they can just kind of come in, walk around, say hi, start to feel comfortable, then maybe book an appointment, and they can come sit in the chair. Yeah, see what happens, right? If they start to feel comfortable, we can maybe do some hair brushing, hair combing, see how that goes. And you can like baby step it, like that. And I know for us, like,
I have a couple that, like, we had 2 appointments before we ever even got to a haircut. And I called them drop-bys because that's literally what it was. The first time, the one little guy, he literally would just come and get snacks. And then snacks was what he, like, put with a haircut. So then when we had a haircut, we were eating snacks the whole time. And then he got in the chair, sat in the chair. For boys, a lot of times, like, when they get in the chair, I don't do a haircut, but I'll turn the buzzers on and I'll face them like this. Because as long as there's a guard on the clippers, they cannot cut themselves whatsoever. It can be your shortest guard, but as long as there's something covering those blades, they can't cut themselves. So I'll just hold it as if it were a toy and have them hold on to it, or as they get comfortable, I would take it and just put it around their head so they feel that feeling, and it's slow. If they start getting upset, then it's like, okay. And then I'll hand it to them, let them turn it on. And then slowly build. And I think in a salon, like Aaron said, finding someone that's comfortable is the biggest key. Because for myself, like, even if we spent an hour and all we did was eat a snack and have a glass of water, but they're not kicking and screaming, and they want to come back, that's all we need. Like, that's a win all in itself. Environment too, like, we have a smaller salon. Definitely, I came from like a chain salon, still had clients there. I lost a few clients because of the fact that unfortunately I couldn't be accommodating. As much as I wanted to be accommodating, I couldn't, no matter how hard I tried. I've regained them as customers being in a smaller salon because we can shut the lights off. We can shut music off. We can turn on their favorite song. We can do whatever's needed. We can sit in the hallway. I have one little boy, we play tag the whole time we cut his hair because sitting there and having someone in his personal space sets him right off. And he just does not like it. So instead, he gets to run to the door, and when he comes back, he knows that tag means that I get 1 snip, and I get 1 snip, and that's it. And then he has to go back. And it's also finding a stylist that isn't just telling you, oh yeah, I'm comfortable with that. It's someone that's actually comfortable with it. And understanding that your child is not being difficult, your child is being themselves, and they need the adult to be accommodating towards them, not the other way around.
Time of day, bringing a kid into a salon is also very, very important. Like, bringing any child in for a haircut right after school is never very highly recommended. Everyone is cranky right after school. It's not take them home, give them a snack, and then maybe bring them in. Saturday mornings or early afternoons might be a good option. I would go in on Sundays to cut Arlo's hair when the rest of the salon was closed, so we were the only ones in there. I do the same with some other clients that I have. Megan will do.
Yeah, I'm usually before my shift or after my shift, but I'll make sure, like, and if there's someone else that's working till almost the same time, I'll be like, hey, like, just pretend that this person doesn't even exist. So it's not to be rude to them. It's because if they're already trying to get comfortable with one person, and then a second person that they really have no idea all of a sudden steps in, well, then now we're back at square one, because now it's 2 people they don't know. And so I think that the most important thing is building that trust with them, because at the end of the day, kids alone have small circles of who they trust. But when they trust those people, no matter how they act outside of it, they're like, oh, you're a safe person. I can trust you. I know what to expect with you. And that's the other thing, is consistency. And I always tell parents, when your child has a hard time with haircuts, the best thing to do is come in all the time, even if we're not cutting their hair. Now I'm a friend to them. Now I'm the candy lady to them. Now we get to play toys every time we come in here. It's associating it for something around the haircut. I have a whole bin of toys. I myself have a 5-year-old who has sensory issues. I myself have sensory issues, so I get it. And so I have a bin full of like different things, and we just,
She was cutting one of my clients' little lady the other morning, so I was talking with mom because I didn't have a client at the moment, and she wanted the little man to look down, so I took the toy and got down, and I was captivated with it. So they work. Absolutely.
Do you have any advice for the kids that never get over that sensory of being touched on the clippers? They will always have, like my little guy, no matter how many times I cut his hair, you'll always have an issue with the clippers. But some of your just with that.
Yeah, to be completely transparent with you, there's always going to be kids that don't stand. I have one little boy, he's 2, and we have been working for months, and he still cries the entire time we cut his hair. Mom understands, he's nonverbal, so that's really his only way to communicate. Mom understands that. I understand that. So to be completely honest with you, we're like on haircut number 8, and he still cries the whole time. But I understand that he's not not that he's not upset, but like he's just trying to communicate to me. So there will come a point that it's like you know where your child's base is, and if that's their base, then you just kind of have to meet them there. My tricks with the clippers is, like I said, a lot of times, and maybe between haircuts with him, like just kind of like at nighttime when you're not, like even before bath time, make it a part of the routine even, just putting the clippers on and getting him used to it. Let him hold them. I don't know if you have cordless or corded. I always suggest cordless is a lot easier because let's say, well, with a corded one, you have about 4 feet to work with, right? And if their comfort space is the playroom, and you know that there's a bunch of things that can distract them in the playroom, and you have a cordless pair, you can sit them on the floor with a toy or whatever they like, and then slowly introduce it in.
Also, if you are continuing to do it at home, investing in a really good pair of clippers, like a cordless ones. Like this is my set, and I want to say it probably cost me about $350, but it was for both and a full set of guards. So it's not unreasonable, but then your tool is not as loud as a less expensive set, which is better, and it's sharper and will stay sharper long. And you can buy replacement blades for them, yeah.
Have any actual brand recommendations?
The babeless ones. I use the same.
Yeah.
You could buy them there. This said, and babeless. Oh yes, okay.
I use the same exact clippers. I will say, like, I have been experimenting. I haven't found any I like yet, but I have been experimenting with, I don't know if you've seen on Amazon, they have like the sensory clippers. They're supposed to like suck up the hair as you cut them. Unfortunately, they're not good. I've tried them. I was really hoping they were gonna be a game changer, but they clogged up, and then if you got hair, like if it was clogged up and you went on the hair, it made a super loud, startling noise, and I'm like, that's not gonna work. I returned them. My next ones that I'm trying are like, and I can give an update to Melissa, and if it works out, I haven't done enough experimenting with it yet, is there's scissors that have like a straight blade with the guards on it. I don't know if you guys used them. I've seen them. I had one of my mums recommended them to me. I have not been able to try it out all the way. I mean, they work good, but I don't know how they work as far as like moving wise goes, because I've just tried on my mannequin. I have plans to try them on my son because he is a great test for me. But like I said, I don't know. And the only thing I'm worried about them is how it looks afterwards. Because if it's too chunky, you're going to see that, and they're going to look like an unplucked chicken, and you don't want them to look like that. So I don't have feedback on that yet, but
yeah, she was talking about letting them touch them. I mean, obviously, if you're getting an expensive pair, you don't want to just run around and play with.
yeah.
But, like, sure not gonna like, no. Like, they're, like, that doesn't feel awesome. Like, it's just sharp-ish, but it won't abrasive, right? Yes, if they were to maybe grab it and get some of their skin in between there, it might pinch it. So I wouldn't just, like, give it to them to play with. But if you're holding it too and with them, getting them comfortable with it, you don't need to be afraid about them cutting themselves, right? Because if they just touch it quick, like, they're not going to cut these, right?
Yeah, to be honest, scissors are more dangerous than clippers are. Yeah, it could because of the fact that like their hands go in. But like I said, that comes back to like having a stylist that is understanding and aware of the situation. And I know it. I know it can be traumatizing to the parents to see us cut ourselves. But like a lot of times, I'll hide it. I'll be like, just give me 1 second. I gotta go grab a towel. Meanwhile, I'm putting a Band-Aid on my finger. Yeah, and I'm like holding, I've got a towel on my hand, and I'm like, I'll be right back. I just gotta go grab something. It's also that the kid doesn't know. Because if you tell them like, oh, I cut my finger, I've said that because I didn't realize, and then the kid's like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. It happens every day. Like it's a natural occurrence for me. But as far as them not liking it, I think just exposure, like a lot of things, exposure. But like I said, there's always going to be a baseline.
Do you want to talk about your trick, how you use the clipper guard on them without the clipper attached?
Oh, like to get them used to it? So I will go up to them. Here, I'll stand over here. Again, exposure. Like it's a very like hard thing when someone's coming at you with a machine that's loud and you don't know what it's gonna do. So I'll
always want to turn it on in front of their face. Don't turn it on behind their head. That's freaky and that's scary. So you let them see it.
Yeah. And then I'll hold the clipper in one hand so they hear the sound, and then I will take a guard and I'll show them that the guard's not on. I just want them to know what it feels like, and I'll just put the guard and comb through their hair with the guard, hand it to them, let them do it to themselves, let them do it to mom, let them do it to me, and then just get them used to it. And then I will also take the back of the clippers and I'll do the same thing. Because at the end of the day, this is what it's going to feel like. It's going to feel like a vibration. It's not going to feel like a comb. So I'll take the back of it and I'll do the same thing. And then before I ever do it, whether a child is verbal, nonverbal, whatever, I will always say, can I put this on your head? And I will wait for them. And if they say no, well, then it's no. And then we'll keep going. We'll keep trying things, come back, that sort of deal. But a lot of times if they have control over the situation, they're a lot more comfortable that way. And it looks different for every kid. But yeah, I will just take it. And even for my own son, he doesn't like haircuts and he doesn't like sitting for haircuts. And I do the same thing with him on the daily, especially the hair dryer. Like he despises the hair dryer. Every night we dry his hair now because it's one of those things, or every time I give him a bath, we dry his hair, because it's one of those things that over time he'll sit there and he'll be like, okay, I can count to 10. I'm like, yeah, and by the time he counts to 10, the back's done, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll do 10 on this side and 10 on that side, and then he's done, and then he's like, oh, that's not so bad. I'm like, great. 2 days later, we're in the same spot again. But it's just repetitiveness, and them knowing that if I say no, you are going to stop. So if I say yes, I know you're going to do it.
And that little trick of Meg's is great because it gets them used to the sound. So the sound is happening, it's close to their head, but it's not actually touching them, and they can feel it.
Yeah.
But they can still see the clippers and hear the sound, right? So it's not quite as scary as when it's behind their head happening. So it's kind of like easing them in to having the clippers by them. So it's a great little tip.
And also the reason I do it is because, like, I've been in this situation where I put the clippers through the back of the head, and then you're like, okay, we actually can't do this. And now they have a stripe in the back of their head. So if you go the longest clipper and you start to, you'll know if they'll be able to be okay with it or not. But like I was saying to Aaron before we started, I had a little guy earlier. He went to one of our other stylists, and there was a lot of things going on that day, and we got set back to square one. We had made a lot of progress, but unfortunately we're back to square one with him because he did not have the same experience he was used to, and he was like, yeah, I don't like this anymore. So today we were cutting his hair, and I could only do so much, and he doesn't like the clippers, so I can only do so much with scissors. Again, even with him, I cut myself. But I was like, it's one of those things you're like, it's okay. The mom's like, are you all right? I'm like, I'm fine. Like, if it's not bleeding down my hand, we're good. We don't even have to take a break. Like, we're fine. So I kept going. But there came a point where there was a hair in front of his ear, and I could not get it with scissors safely. Either I was going to get cut, or if he turned fast enough, he was going to get cut. So I had said to her, okay, we can't do scissors. There will come a point at times where you do just have to hold them. However, I will never cut a child's hair that's screaming or like foaming at the mouth or like drooling because they're crying so hard. We will not do a haircut. This little boy, I was like, I just got to get your ear. I just got to get your ear. And mom's holding him like this, giving him a hug. I was like, hug mom. She's holding him, and I literally went, I got to get your ear. I got to get your ear. Oh, look, I got your ear. I got by your ear. And that was it. And then we took a few minutes and we did the other side. She had to hold him like this, just so I had enough room to get it. And he didn't like it, but he wasn't like freaking out or anything. And as soon as it was done, he's like, I'm all done. I'm like, yep, you're all done. You're good to go. We're done. And so there will come those points. Again, it's about either finding your comfortability or finding someone that's comfortable, that's not like, oh, this lady was holding her kid down. Like, unfortunately, it's just where kids have to be met at.
Did you want to talk a little bit more about like what maybe Amanda could do to blend the sides?
Yes.
A little bit.
I can. Do we have that magic? I can do it on the table too.
Oh, yeah.
But I would suggest getting a comb that has a little more wider, a little more width to it, because if you're trying to blend with something like this, you're going to end up carving into his hair in spots you don't mean to carve into, where this has a lot more of like wiggle room to it. On kids, I don't even use these combs because of the fact that this gives me a lot more protection with their ears and everything else. But what are you using on the bottom of his head? Like a 1? A number 1. Okay.
Let's reposition ourselves.
Sorry, I'm just going to put this bottom down to a number 1, and then I'll show you. Sorry, the mannequins aren't the best way to show the lines, but it probably looks something like that by the time you're done with it. Okay. So you can either keep the guard. I don't suggest keeping the guard on because it'll give you a little bit more room, but to get comfortable, you could keep the guard on the clipper. But I would then take your comb and like see how there's no hair there, and then you can see the hair. Sorry, you can come close.
You can come close if you want to see better.
So you're just going to take your clipper and you're just going to swipe it across and see how now it's all the same length. But you want to kind of follow the shape of his head, so that way when he's done, you're not going to see like a wall of hair, because if their head's rounded. So if you keep going straight up, it's gonna look a little funny. So just follow the shape of his head, curve it in a little bit, and then again, like there's a little bit of hair right at the bottom. That's the shortest piece, and then that hair, and I'm just gonna swipe it. If that's a little intimidating, you can use scissors and do the exact same technique.
Do you use scissors on his hair at all, or just clippers?
So I'm using eyebrow scissors because I can't find a safe pair to do like a hair, like actual.
Okay.
So I'm trying to find a blunt tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be difficult.
Yeah. I mean, that will be difficult. What is your concern as far as safety with the scissors? About him touching them? He moves? Okay.
Like a hot glue at the end. It's like if you put
Oh, that's a good idea.
off by wrapping hot glue and letting it dry.
Or the only other thing you can do, yeah,
They wouldn't close all the way though.
if she ran these on concrete, would it not dull out the tip of it?
Yeah.
If you were to get, because like at the end of the day, when it comes to professional scissors, you need this part to be sharp, not necessarily the tip of it, because you're not doing anything fancy. So if you invest in like hair cutting scissors, what I would do is I would take the tip of it and I'd run it on like concrete and just rough down the tip of it. These ones aren't very sharp. I know the ones I have aren't very sharp. There are some that you can. My tips are rounded like that, like they're rounded at the end of it.
Actually not bad.
Right, because you're not gonna, and like you're not gonna hurt yourself on these things.
It was their beauty, and I got those on Wish.
I've gotten a pair off of Temu. Yeah,
Gave them a shot.
right?
So you know what?
No,
I have $40 scissors that I got on Wish, and I have $500 scissors.
yeah,
The main difference I have found between them is that my $500 scissors I've had for 25 years, and they get sharpened 2 to 3 times a year, and they're almost done, but they've made it. Those might get 10 sharpenings out of them. Yeah, if we're lucky. It was a risk that they might not even get one.
I would say I bought a pair off Temu because I was like, oh, I want to try this, especially for at-home haircuts, because I do a lot of kids cuts, and a lot of times my scissors get dropped, and I don't like my salon scissors to be dropped. So I bought a pair, and he took them, and he was like, well, one pair sharpened, but the other one I could not sharpen. And I said, that's fine. They cost me like $4. Like, I don't care. But you want this part to be the sharpest. I would also look at like a 4.5, 5-inch scissor. Are these 6?
6.
So they're gonna be like this in total. That will also help you not be so, it will have more control.
Kids all the time, so they're about an inch shorter than that.
Yeah.
Like a smaller scissor on kids, because they do move so much. You don't want as much blade.
Yeah. How I would do it with scissors, personally, when it comes to kids, I try just to use my fingers more than my comb, just because I can hold on. Like, even if they're like going like this, I can hold it the whole time. And there's a lot of times, right? There's a lot of times that I literally will cut hair like this. Like, I will do whatever it has to do. Sometimes my armpit's in mom's face, and I'm like, sorry, I did put deodorant on. And I'm just like over top of them, because you just do what you got to do at the end of the day. But what I would do is the same concept as the clippers. You're going to come in and, sorry, I go upside down. You can go this way too. And you just same deal. But that's going to be harder if he's moving. I would suggest taking your fingers
This way.
and going like with your fingers in, and then just cut on the outside of your fingers. Just be careful of your knuckles.
A little bit of a head lock.
Yeah.
But I would definitely suggest, especially if you're doing a number 1, trying to go in the first way, make sure first.
Yeah.
With the comb and the clipper to get a little bit more length. Your fingers on average are the width of your finger for where you're cutting is about a number 3. So you're never going to blend a number 1 just with your fingers.
No.
Ever. So you could also then do your number 1 and see if you could do a number 2.
I was just about to show that. Something I'll do a lot of times with kids is I'll work my way down, because like systematically you're foolproof in the fact that a 1's going to blend to a 2 will blend to a 3, and a 3 will blend to a 4. So I'll start at my longest always, because at least if we have a 4 to a 2 is better than a 1 to a 4, and then you have that funny look to the edge of it, but they're done, and that's all you're going to get out of it. So I will go in and start and then carve it out, and then simply just change my blade out and work my way down back to that number 1. And then same thing. The one thing you want to keep in mind when you're doing it is what we call a C form. So you're going to come in and come out, just like a backwards C. And that way it follows, yeah, then you're not left with a heavy line at the back, and it'll give you more room. I noticed with his hair, you have it long on top, so that helps keep that length up top and still allows you to get the bottom short. And I have, not with my own child, not with a client, I've had to do the headlock move. And clippers, and the clipper over comb works way better if that's just where you have to meet him. Because if you have to hold him like this, guess what? You no longer have another hand for scissors. So you can just come in and do one of these.
That's lucky.
It happens. I've done it.
Practically headlock a grown thing.
Yeah.
Because he came in after work one day, he had a long day, and he was falling asleep in my chair and wanted a fade, and his head was bobbing like this. So I'm basically like crooked my arming him.
Yeah.
Because I need his head still. So it's not just your...
No. To be honest, with any like male cut, like no matter the age, my hand's like this the whole time. Because it's one of those things that like, I need you to be in one spot, unless it comes to a kid with sensory, then I meet them where they are. So like, I have one little boy, he does not like the comb. So he does not like when I have the comb. So he combs his hair, and let me tell you, it makes the appointment 10 times longer, but he likes it. That's what works for him. So that's what we do. And he combs, and half the time he's not even combing in the spot I need him to. So I just work with it, but only he's allowed to comb his hair. And that's just what we work with. So, yeah, I don't know.
Do you have any more questions?
We can see if there's anything we felt out that they don't touch with her. That they didn't know. Sure. So, big things.
For legal reciprocity for the longer hair as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes
to, now if your little one's growing up to it.
Yeah. When it comes to longer hair, 2 things. 1, don't be afraid of detangler, and don't be afraid of conditioner. If you have to, if they don't like to get their hair rinsed, that might pose a little bit of a problem. But at the end of the day, if you have to sacrifice having sloppy like conditioner coming out of their hair, but you can brush through their hair, perfect. Because tangles of any kind are going to, even myself brushing my own hair, I don't like to feel the tangles in my hair. So to get it smooth and be able just to brush right through it is your goal before you even touch the scissors. Because these little things show no mercy to tangles. So if you don't have them all out and you put that comb through it and you're yanking them back, well, now they're done. So we did bring
another little tangle trick.
Yeah.
That Ryan, my husband, discovered on Instagram one day. He's like, "Did you know?" And so if you look at most brushes, the way the bristles are lined up,
Yep.
This way they're jaggedy. This way they're straight. So when you first start to, if someone has really tangly hair, said your daughter to rinse, you want to start with your brush this way. So you start coming in this way, so the hair is going straight through all the grooves. Then once you have most of the tangles out, you can turn it.
That's a great mannequin to do that on too.
Right? It's a simple little thing, but yes, he discovered, most people don't. I've never realized that before.
Yeah.
So yes, the simple way, so it's sliding through smoothly first, and then you can turn it the other way to really detangle, and it won't pull.
And you want to always start at the very bottom and work your way up, because that way this pathway is already cleared. So once you have this cleared, and as you work up and like see how there's a tangle there, well, now it's going to go by easily. If you go to a tangly spot and you go right from the top, you're not getting through there without dragging or raking. And then when it comes to actually cutting longer hair, you always want to start in the front, because 9 times out of 10, the reason that their hair is bugging them or you is because it's in their eyes. They can't see, you can't see them, and then it's like, okay, you need it. So I would always start in the front. It also helps, like, being in front of them helps them more too, that it's not a surprise if they do not like. There are some kids that just don't like seeing their hair come off their head. An easy trick you can do is come from behind them and just pull it out. Once you have that spot, there's times where I'll tip my fingers all the way back so they can no longer see what's going on, and then cut it. Let it go down and see how it falls, because some kids just do not want to watch it.
And she sat facing the phone.
Yep, and that's fine. I would have just simply taken her hair and then just come forwards a little bit, just because if you come straight up, you're going to create layers, and it's going to create a whole bunch of different lengths in the front of her hair, where if you pull it forwards almost as it lays and then just tip your fingers back, you're not going to cut it any shorter, but now she can't see what you're doing. And then I would go to... For little girls, I would do if she doesn't have bangs, skip the front. Right now yeah. But if she grows it out, and if it's all one length and she's sitting against you, I would brush it all out so it's all tangled free. And honestly, you can even pull it together and do just like one section, let it go, and then match it. Depending on the length of the hair, depends on how easier that is. Like on Erin's hair, you can literally gather it all and do one snip, and there's your trim. On my hair, it would take a little bit because it's shoulder length, but you could do it in 2 and just do it quick, and then worrying about fine detailing once they're more comfortable. I always say there's a baseline, and then there's like, oh, they're more comfortable. I've had little boys that, like, 1 week they're screaming their heads off, and the next haircut, they've acted like they've gotten haircuts fantastic their whole life. And then the next haircut, for whatever reason, they got a blue cup instead of a green cup that morning, and then haircuts all of a sudden are disastrous again. It's just about, I think at the end of the day, like I was saying to Erin, it comes down to comfortability and finding that space, whether it's in your own home or in a salon, that they feel comfortable. Because like adults, if you're put into a situation and nothing around you is making you feel comfortable, well, you're not going to be okay with anything that's going on. Where if you find that show, that snack, that area, even the technique that they'll at least put up with it, like especially for your son, I think it'll come down to what he'll just end up putting up with, because at the end of the day, some of them just don't like haircuts. I myself, I love having my hair done. I like it look nice. I hate to get it done. The whole time someone's brushing my hair, I'm like, I will brush my own hair. I blow dry my own hair because I just can't handle someone else having their hands in my hair. But I know that, and so it's one of those things that it's just like you just kind of have to work with it.
If you had a child who has your daughter's hair's grown out like this, you maybe don't want to buzz it, but you want it short, right?
Yeah.
So like she said, start in the front. Like this is the most important area, right? We want to get the hair out of their eyes first if it's coming forward. Then you're going to go to the back. That's what you're going to cut next. That's the next most important, right? Because I know it's super in right now, but if you cut the front and you don't cut the back, then you have a glorious mullet, right? Which is not always the look that we want, but sometimes it is. Megan,
I love mullets. They're so cute.
Then you're going to go around the ears and around the sides, right? This area is your least concern. Don't start here.
Same for your son.
Yeah, don't start here, because who cares? Who cares about this hair? Because if you've cut this part, you've cut this part and the sides, they may look like one of the Beatles, but their hair is not going to be bugging them. It's not going to be in their face. It's not going to be on the back of their neck, right? So those are the most important parts. And if you can't get to this in one haircut, on.
That's the other thing too, is that sometimes haircuts take several days. And although as busy parents, it can be like frustrating because you're like, I really don't have 4 days to cut your hair. It's also one of those things that if it takes 4 days and there's minimal crying, it's better than it taking 2 hours and you're in a headlock and now they're slobbery mess. So that's another tip, I guess I could say, that sometimes you have to just do little things. For my son, he loves to have mohawks, but like I said, he does not sit still. He does not like to handle the clippers. but he's stuck on having a mohawk. And so we do his mohawk over 3 days. I will get majority of the bulk off of the sides, and then I will do, if he lets me, I'll do the outline. That's usually all we can get. And then the second day, I'll worry about it being even, because I, as a hairstylist, like, it has to be even for me. Sorry to him, but it has to. So then I'll worry about how it looks. And then the third time, I'll actually go in and make sure his mohawk is at the height that it needs to be functional. But even for him, I have to spread it out. And there's times where I'm like, buddy, I don't have time for this. But you got to work with them. Just trying to think if we've... Did you open top?
Yeah, I will, if you guys are good.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I think we're good. I think we've
before, and I touched on all of our points. And then we can let Melissa come up and talk. And if you guys have any more questions,
yeah.
I can answer them.
We might have a credit with this, or you might step no. Sit there now.
Pass off the torch.
All right. Still good? No? So, but that can put stuff.
Okay, mine's up in my throat, so.
This is uncomfortable. It's not uncomfortable. Oh, there. Good.
Staying hardened.
Yeah. Big thing is that's their issues. Okay.
That's just it.
So, you both know that I work here. My son is also, he's 6 years old. His name is Arlo, and he has Fragile X syndrome, and recently autism as well. And he is very sensory, moves a lot. Aaron has cut his hair before, and he does not stop moving. So it's really, really tricky. And you say you wouldn't change or cut a child's hair if they're screaming, so it might not work, right? Because he will scream.
Oh, I'm okay with screaming.
So I just wanted to do maybe a quick behavior thing from my professional side. Personally, that wasn't why I came, but I just wanted to kind of build on some of the things that you guys talked about.
Yeah.
You guys talked about like desensitizing, and that's perfect that you do that and everything. And my suggestion is to parents, haircuts don't happen that frequently, so do that kind of thing at home and to prep for it too. So if you have, like most husbands have even a pair of old buzzers in the cupboard, just leave them out so they can be seen, so that the only time they see them isn't when they're getting a haircut, like you said, when they come in. Let them touch them, turn them on with no expectation of them being around them, that kind of thing. Same with scissors. I didn't prep my child for a haircut because I was worried about him getting a haircut. So my suggestion is to people with younger children, start soon. If they don't like so we always want to have our kids be comfortable, but if they don't like their hair being touched, if we stop touching their hair altogether, by the time we are desperate for them to get a haircut, they won't have learned how to have their hair like touched, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not to say like make them go through something they don't like, but it's to say like start small, like they've been talking about. It's desensitization. It's just running your hands through their hair with no expectation, pairing it with a kiss and I love you, brushing your hair, brushing their hair once, pairing it, that kind of thing. And it can feel like you're not really doing something, but you are. You're creating a situation where they're okay with it. Because I didn't, and I wish I'd done that. My son's hair is also curly, so it got tricky. And when we brought him in, honestly, it was almost like magic. So I know cutting your kid's hair at home is sometimes you feel like it's the only option you've got, but having Aaron literally just, and he's like bobbing and weaving and swimming and smacking and grabbing.
And she makes it sound like he was horrible, and he was no worse than a typical child his age.
Yeah.
And that's insane.
But it's I feel like from like with her saying that, I feel like a lot of times parents are so worried about how they're gonna be, but like that's where it comes down to finding a stylist. Like I'm so used to little kids. Like I said, my son's 5. I live with it every day. I work with them every day. It's one of those things that when parents are like, I'm so sorry he won't sit still. I'm like, I can't sit still. I don't expect them to sit still. And with like even how you're saying him screaming and moving his hands, like awesome. I would never want a job that I can't, like if she walked into the salon and heard me screaming and moving my hands because there's another kid that I've joined in on, it wouldn't even faze her. And that's what it comes down to. It's meeting them where they are and what they need. And like you said, desensitizing, I think, is one of the biggest things because this is a foreign object to most kids. So if you just hand it to them, like I said, keep a guard on it just to keep everyone that way. If there's a brother or sister around, the thing's not flying and there goes their hair too. So keep a guard on it. But it's one of those things that the more they're used to it, when someone new to them also has that item, it's like, oh, I know what that is. I know what that does. I know she's not going to hurt me with that because mom doesn't. Mom's associated this to be a good thing. So now I'm also associated with the good thing that I'm also a good thing. Sorry.
No, that's exactly. And also like spray bottles and stuff like that too, like spray, like wet hair and all that kind of stuff. And that goes for anything. Let me just get that plug out there. If your child doesn't do well with it, that doesn't mean just stopping altogether. It might mean stopping, pulling back to the very beginning of it and trying it again. But most kids don't just suddenly learn how to accept something. So that toleration is got to be built up. And then you did say that the child like cries through now that they've gotten used to it. But if at first that child was screaming and running away and getting aggressive, but then the next time they sit fairly still and they cry through it, that's massively huge. That's a positive gain.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, a lot of what we end up working with our children with is teaching them to tolerate things. Like, I know you're not going to like it, but when you're out in the world, there is going to be a noise that we can't make stop or something like that. So we're just working on helping them manage through it. And that starts by doing it for like micro moments and micro touches and building it, and pairing it with positivity and things like that. So that's kind of what haircuts are going to be like. I think for girls, sometimes it's a little easier because we might not have them as often. For boys, it's a little more challenging because you want to have them maybe a little more frequently. But in the reverse side, it's a little better because they get more practice. Right? Yeah. That's happening more frequently. They're getting more practice. Whereas with girls, there's that gap in between. And that's my suggestion to parents, is to fill that gap with continued exposure to those things.
Yeah.
And the other thing, not maybe less, but my thing is to watch your energy. Because if you come in and you're like me right now, like kind of worked up and a little bit nervous, your kids know that, right? They know you. They're looking at you. If you're calm, they're going to feel more calm. If you're acting as calm as you can, they're going to feel more calm. And that's another reason to do some of those things that you guys have talked about, which is going a little bit earlier, making sure that they understand that your child has the needs they have, has the, you know, the strengths and the all of that they have, because you're going to feel a lot better and more comfortable in a situation if you've made it
1,000%
and become familiar with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I were to say, you know, I'm a behavior consultant, but that does not mean that I go home and I do the right thing whatsoever. I can hear my own voice in my head, but I'm still just managing day to day. I would have started a lot sooner. I would have calmed down a little bit more during them. I probably would have brought him a lot more often. I have done a few at-home haircuts. I guess one of my tips is I do it in the shower. Because he does love the shower. He's still trying to avoid me. He still suddenly has 8 arms to smack my hand away. But the hair's running off of his body. So if he's not getting covered in itchy hair, that I then have to put him in the shower for.
Yeah.
So that's something. And then use a blow dryer on cool really quickly on him sometimes if he lets me. So that's one thing I have developed. And take off less. And then, because you can't cut hair longer, you can only go shorter. And if you've done a big old chop on one side, then we're back to feeling like your kid needs a haircut. It's just so sad. Because sometimes it's need, like it's in their eyes, and other times it's like you look ridiculous and need a haircut. So just kind of balance that out.
I want to touch on one thing you said about the spray bottle. One trick I have, because 9 times out of 10 they do not like the spray bottle, I turn it either into a game if it works, and I give my spray bottle the sneezes, and then we literally just go achoo, and then this one's an automatic one. Mine's not this aggressive.
Those are trick ones.
They don't. So it'll just be one stream, and at first it'll like catch them off guard, and then I'll grab their attention, and then I'll do it again, and then I'll hand it to them and let them do it. And there's times where I'm soaked, but I'm like, here you go. Like if I'm soaked in water by the end of this and we have a haircut and you're comfortable and you want to come back, amazing. So I'll do that, or I'll spray it in my hand, fill my hand up, and then I'll just do as they're talking. And once I know they're comfortable with my hands being on them, I'll just do one of these and just get it wet, or take a towel if they're better with a towel. There's times where I put the towel on and then we'll play like a peekaboo game. What they don't realize is when I put the towel on, I also spray. So then they don't feel that because they're so involved in that game that they're no longer feeling that spray on them. Give them a towel, let them put a towel on their face because sometimes it's just that drippy feeling. Then they think they're protected, and then you can spray them as much as they need and they're not getting the water on them. I'm trying to say
a microphone. So one of the main difference too between cutting hair dry and cutting hair wet is when you cut hair dry, that's when it's like dust and it goes everywhere. When you cut it wet, that's when it clumps and falls in big chunks, right?
Dry hair for 6 years.
Okay. But Amanda, when you're using clippers, it needs to be on dry hair.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you're cutting the top of his hair, if you're going to use scissors, you can wet it down and it won't be so light and fluffy, right? It won't just dust everywhere and get all over them. And another trick for that is remove it. Like if he gets hair on him and it's itchy and he gets upset, baby powder takes the itch away and detaches the hair from the skin almost instantly.
And one thing to touch on, I brought a cape because this can be my best friend and my worst enemy with kids. It's either my best friend because I can show them, but why I wanted to bring it is because the best way to put it on any kid, no matter what, because a lot of them, as soon as they feel confined, like they don't like it anymore. So what I'll do is I'll take it, put it like this, put them around like so, and then I'll give them something so that now they're holding it in front of them, and then you take this and go around. Because if you put it right over their arms, and their arms are trapped, now they're freaking out. So if they have their arms out the whole time, and sometimes I won't even do it up, I'll just put it on them like this, and then they're good. I will tell you 9 times out of 10, even with kids under the age of 3 with no other concerns going on, this is their worst enemy. So a lot of times I won't even use it, and I'll just say to the parents, bring an extra pair of clothes. You don't even have to leave the salon before you change them. We have a bathroom. You can change them in the bathroom. I can give you a towel. You can wipe them down. Keep them in their clothes. I always say like track pants are the best thing to wear because it comes right off, or like a shirt like this is a good one to wear so it slides off, either any like athletic material, something that's easy for the hair to slide off of helps everyone. And then just change their clothes after, because I don't have to have this to cut hair. It makes it easier for everybody because it's slippery, so it'll fall right off of them. But if they don't like this, or you can always, I don't particularly do this on young kids because they are very smart and they know how to undo this very quickly. But you can always put it around so the really long part is in the back to get them used to it, and then move it around. So that way they're only dealing with this, and I always call them superheroes when we do it because it's more fun that way. And then their arms are more free and they can do whatever they want. But yeah, there was one other thing you said that I was I don't know what. Oh, consistency. Like she was saying, consistency is the best, is like honestly the number one tip I can give to you. However that looks being stopping by a salon, or like she said, just having these things out, because this is not a normal household object that they see. So I mean, I personally would not leave the scissors out. My little guy would cause terror with them. But the clippers, like for him, he knows clippers because he sees them. I mean, I have my underneath shave, so that's also a good one because I'll show him like, look, even mom can do it. Like you can do it, mom can do it. And then, but like I said, just turn them on, hand them to them. Obviously don't walk away or don't let them like run around the house. But if they're in front of you and they have it on, this now becomes a cool tool. And then they also will get curious and they'll want to know how it works. They'll want to see how it works. I understand this is not something everybody can do. For my son, the one way that I got him really used to is I let him cut one of my old mannequins himself. last year, so he would have been 4 at the time. I gave him a pair of clippers. I gave him scissors. He used kid scissors because I did not trust him. And I gave him a comb, and I just sat there and I let him do whatever he wanted to that mannequin. When he asked me for direction, I would help him. But other than that, I just let him figure out how all those tools work. That's helped us tremendously. But even with that, you can get like a Barbie doll, a baby doll, anything like that, and let them use it. Because like I said, what I found personally, and I don't know if there's anything behind it, but when they have control over the situation and they have that sense of like, okay, I have a say in this, things go a lot smoother. I just recently had a little boy who was 3, and he had autism, and he was nonverbal, and mom was like, I don't know how this is going to go. I always reach out, like if we ever have anyone book that puts a note saying that their child is sensory, or like we get a lot of recommendations on Rant and Rave, I'll reach out and I'll just be like, hey, what are your child's needs? So they also understand that I get what's going on, and that I am not coming into the situation being like, oh yeah, your kid can sit like everybody else. Like, no. And to be honest, most kids, period, can't do those things. But I'll reach out, find out what it is. She had told me like personal space was a big thing and all these things. And he came in and I was right down on his level. I was like, oh, let's go walk around. I was walking around on my knees for a minute because that was at his level. And then all of a sudden he climbed onto me and gave me a hug. And mom was like, okay. And I was like, but that's the thing, is when they feel comfortable, they'll start doing things that you're like, I never thought they'd do that before. But it's because they feel comfortable. And how you're feeling. That's what I was going to touch base on, because that's a huge thing. For myself, if I have a haircut booked with a child that I know has sensory issues, I will literally block off 15 minutes before that haircut, just so I can recollect myself, I can regulate myself. And even if my day is super busy, it's one of those things that's like, okay, like they have nothing to do with your busy day. So I'll excuse myself for a minute, regulate myself, and go into that situation as if I'm one of their friends, and even act like a child myself, because it's one of those things that makes a huge difference for them, of like, oh, I'm not coming at them from authoritative point. I'm coming at them like, hey, you want to play with robots with me? Oh yeah, the whole time we play with robots, by the way, we're getting our hair cut. But they don't associate it with that. They associate it with the toys and the snacks and how they feel when they're there. That's about it.
Yeah. I just think one more tip that I would give, if you're going to do it at home, which I have been, is because when the hair gets wet, it moves. Mm-hmm. So kind of think about where your child's hair is. Maybe put the water on top so it kind of falls flat, versus going at it while it's all pushed back and then having a mullet or a reverse mullet, or where then you have to go in and fix it. So just
that's a really good point, because if you pull everything back and you cut this stuff all the way back here, this is going to be way longer than this stuff is. So if you go straight up off the head, it will fall more where it's supposed to go. Or like I said with the bangs, pulling them down, but not going like, pulling them down is fine. But if you're going out, well, again, the stuff underneath is now going to be shorter than the stuff on top. If you pull it up, vice versa. This stuff in front's going to be shorter than the stuff in the back. So when that falls down, you're not going to have a straight line. You're going to have jagged. So yeah, I always part it at the same part. A lot of times with kids, I'll just push it all forward, because if it's shorter through here and shorter through here, like she said, this really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Because if this looks funny, guess what? You're not going to see it. Because unless someone's standing over your kid like this, they're not going to notice it. It's going to look good from the back. It's going to look good from the front. And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
And off the back of their neck and out of their...
Yeah.
Not quite so hot.
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Oh, do you suggest in between haircuts, normally? Not 2 years. Right?
Typically, I say 4 to 6 weeks with any of my kids that have, and to be honest, I only have 2 right now that we're in like transition is what I call it. So for those guys, I always say I had a little guy today that we're starting back at square one. I told the mom, I said, come in 2 days. We don't even have to cut anything. Just come. And then my other little guy, his daycare's down the road, so it's easier to stop in. But I would say like once a week or once every 2 weeks when you're transitioning them, and you can just come in and grab a snack. Hey, how's your day going? Hey, how's your day going? Have that conversation. Oh, that's a friend. And then leave and then come back. And again, that helps them too with that choice, because it's like, oh, we were only going to come in to say hi today, but now they're like, oh, I actually want my haircut. Sweet. We're going to do a little haircut today. And then the next time, even if we plan to do a haircut and we don't do a haircut, that's okay because we did it last time. So I would say for actual hair cutting, I would say 4 to 6 weeks. When it comes to transitioning them and getting them used to it, if you aren't able to do consistency at home, I would say once a week, once every 2 weeks. Just so it's one of those things that it's like, okay, this is okay, I'm safe with this. And then once you get it established, 4 to 6. Like you don't have to keep that going, but just until they get comfortable enough. Also, I always say bring a screen, like phones, tablets, like their favorite show does wonders.
But also I'm going to say by like once a week, once a 2 weeks, if you're doing it at home, like that's like, oh, we're going to cut the front today.
Yeah.
Next week, maybe, oh, then we're going to cut the back a little bit. Maybe we're just going to take a little bit off of here. So you're doing it consistently, but like, and I'm maybe actually cutting their hair consistently, but not like cutting their hair, like literally 2 minutes, 2 minutes of something. It's exposed. Yeah.
Or in your daughter's case, especially if you wanted to get to the point of growing it out and tangles are a concern, I would put...
Till she's old.
Yeah, what I would do is I would take a spray bottle and I would put like, what's the ratio for conditioner to water? I don't know. I honestly neither do I. That's why I don't know. Just squirt some conditioner in a water bottle, or use a leave-in, like the one you'll be taking home. Put the leave-in in, and even if you can try, obviously her hair's short now, but start now, because that feeling of the brush on your scalp never changes, no matter how long or short your hair is. So every night, does she like princesses? No? Okay.
She plays with our Barbies.
Does she?
What's her thing?
Thing right now is she like loves little people and stuff.
Okay. Perfect. So I would just grab a little person, toy, give her a comb. She's gonna comb her little friend's hair, and you're gonna comb her hair. And all I would do is just get her used to that feeling, because then once it starts growing out, then you can do the leave-in to make sure that if there are any tangles, you're not gonna rip through them. She's now gonna already be used to that feeling. So now that you're adding on another element of a possible tangle, it's not a whole new thing. She knows the feeling on her scalp, and then once you get into that length, then you can start going, and then I would do it every night. Even before bed, even if she loves to read books, while she's reading her book, even if you give it to her, and let her explore it on her own of what she can tolerate. And then, like she said, teeny tiny little steps in the beginning might seem like, okay, cool, she's brushing her hair now. Well, that is going to then let you do it, would then let someone else do it. And then it's like, okay, now we have a relationship with our hair. And when she gets to the point that we can leave it long, all those teeny tiny steps that get you there got you there, if that makes sense.
I absolutely douse Arlo's hair every time it gets wet and leave in. Yeah, he's coming out of the pool, out of the hot tub, out of the bath. He's getting, I use some inexpensive stuff on him because I go through like a bottle every 2 weeks, because luckily his hair is short, so he doesn't get a greasy look going, but it's the only way that we can stop the knots and the matting from when he's sleeping and things.
Yeah.
So switched pillowcases like this.
Yeah.
Or just to try to bend it, but it's still.
And
It will, especially right here.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have conditioner in a spray bottle.
Then we just, okay.
And then just douse.
The main difference between like a leave-in conditioner and putting conditioner in a spray bottle is conditioner in a spray bottle is going to leave your hair greasy, your hair heavy, right? leave-in is less likely to do that. But I mean, if you overload, it's still going to. But I'm not taking any chip. Like conditioner in a spray bottle is more than likely going to. End of the day, that's the major difference. That's it. So,
And at the end of the day,
Do that or not.
oh yeah,
yeah,
100%.
It's expensive.
it is. And that's why I would just put it in a water bottle. And honestly, at the end of the day, greasy hair that is brushed and it's manageable is way better than having non-greasy hair that's matted and uncontrollable. But yeah, and desensitizing, like that's probably one of the biggest points I think we can express is one of those things that it's foreign to them. And so if we make it less foreign at home or at a salon, if it's something that's more expected, then, and of course they're always going to put up a fight. Like they expect a bath every 2 days or every day or every other day, but they're still going to put up a fight to get one. But less and less and less and less of a fight every time. So, yeah.
I always say,
Go right ahead.
quality over quantity. So again, with the haircuts, if it's just one little snip and they didn't scream and they didn't hit you and scratch or whatever, that's better than a whole haircut where they were incredibly upset. So that's why we say start right back at the beginning. It's quality. You've got a good experience over that quantity. And that's the same for the length of an experience, for what happens during the experience. Just try and make it a positive one the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
for every.
No, none of these kids are going to be on the front of a magazine is what I say. So at the end of the day, we don't need them looking spick and span. We need them to be able to be okay with going into those spaces and feeling safe in the, whether it's at home or salon, in that setting. So it's also less on us too. Because at the end of the day, if you have a dysregulated parent, you're not going to have a regulated kid. But if you have a dysregulated kid, it's really hard to be a regulated parent at the same time. So it's like getting those both to be like middle ground. And then like we said, there's always going to be a base. Some kids just don't like haircuts. I have teenage boys that will fight their parents the whole way from inside to outside. The whole time I'm cutting their hair, I don't even like them. I don't even ask them at the end if they like it because I know they don't.
They just don't.
They throw their hood on or they throw their hat on and they're out the door and I'm like, it was so nice to see you. Because it's one of those things I'm like, if I ask if you like this, you're going to flat out tell me no because you don't want your haircut. But at the end of the day, we all want our kids to look presentable. And so whether, like she said, whether they like it or not, there's certain things that you have to do. There's certain things that you have to be okay with. And it's just finding those ways to accommodate them for them to be okay. Do every kid, does my spray bottle sneeze? No. Did my kid get real mad at me when he found out I did that to other kids and not him? Yes. But it's because for him, the spray bottle is not my biggest struggle with him. So I don't overcompensate with that. I focus on the things that he does struggle with, where other kids, I have some kids that are totally cool with the clipper, but if I bring out the hair dryer, that's a whole different ball game. So it's finding out what they are okay with, what they're not okay with, and then focusing on the things they're not okay with, so then they kind of warm up to those things. A good take for the hair dryer too is I make a magic game out of it. So I'll do like abracadabra and I will flip on that thing for like 2 seconds and I'll pull it back down. And then I make them do it. So then they know to expect it. And when they say abracadabra, then I hit them with it on cold because you don't want to hit them with hot. No one wants to be blown in the face with hot air. So like on cool and I'll just like go like this and then it'll be done. And then we'll keep doing it around and around. And sometimes it lasts 10 seconds. Sometimes it lasts 2 minutes. Sometimes it's like, awesome, we can dry your hair today. So they all need different things. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know that.
I know we were a small group tonight, but I feel like, I learned so much this evening. And thank you, Sean, for being here as well to record this because, of course, there was a lot of information that I had no clue about. And I do so wish that there was others here in the room tonight, but luckily we get to share this widely with others because, wow, there's so much information that I had no idea about and like the knowledge that you guys have that you shared with us. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
No problem. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Selling.
Did you have any other questions?
I mean, I think I'm definitely going to check some of the Chinese websites
Right? Yep.
and try that because my eyebrow scissors are not doing the trick.
No. And the other thing with the eyebrow scissors too that might be happening that could also be setting him off is like sometimes those things can pull.
Yeah, they're not very sure.
So you might not feel it at the end of his hair, but like this feeling on the scalp is way different than what you're feeling down here. So that can also be like he could be feeling like, oh, you're pinching me. So then it's like, I don't like this, I don't want this. So that could be a game changer. Yeah. And like I said, if you need to dull the tips of it, like you're not gonna go in and fancy cut it. So just drag them on a hard surface and dull them out. Just don't dull out this part and you'll be golden.